AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's going to go. What a give it to Scott, and they stop it again. Go back. He looks, fires for the end zone, intercepted, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Matt Ware, this field, he's going to go, Deshaun Jackson. He steps up, he's hit, and falls forward, and he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it, it's gone, and the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to another edition of AATBirds Weekly Report. Another off-season edition. I am always joined by my guy Kendall at Quebec Eagles, and we have two special guests here. We have Adam Mack in the corner, kind of catty this.
You're doing awful right now.
I can't do that. So Adam Mack is joining us, and with special guests we have Joe Castro from Philly the podcast. Very happy to have you on. Very happy to have Adam on. I'm going to talk some draft. Going to talk the combine just happened. A lot of mock drafts you see swirling around the Twitter world. Everyone want to do in all their different trades, all their different scenarios, everything that they think right before free agency period, because it'll all change when free agency starts. It's how it usually happens. But thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me good? Is my mic working right now?
You're
my
good.
mic sometimes, all right, good. My mic sometimes likes to just give up in mid shows, but no, I'm excited to be on. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, anytime, man. So I want to talk about the combine. Now, Joe, you had an opportunity to go for us to the combine, represent us, did a phenomenal job out there. And I want to kind of get your experience of kind of what you heard out there, what you saw. I know there were some prospects that really kind of opened some eyes out there. Just give a little recap of, your experience out there in Indy.
Yeah, no, it was a cool experience to be able to kind of get to know, the players on more than just seeing them on the field. Kind of being the whole week, they were very open to, just having them really in the open. I mean, you're walking through the same convention center. They're doing their thing. You're getting to see them get scanned by Madden and Nike's out there and everything doing their thing. So it was a really cool experience just to see kind of the human side of these prospects. But like you said, some of these guys did some things on that field that really opened up some eyes. Everybody's in awe of Anthony Richardson, but there's a lot of other guys that maybe not move themselves into the number one spot or in the number one position of their number one spot of their position group, but definitely caught some eyes. So it was exciting to be able to just kind of, like I said, pick their brain, get those moments to see who was talking to the Eagles, who was talking to other teams in the division, and then at the same time get to see some incredible performances at the combine, some record-breaking performances at the combine at that. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you guys gave me that opportunity to go out there.
The other thing I want to talk about, looking at the combine in terms of the Eagles aspect, what players do you, in your eyes, I know there were some offensive line prospects that, in my opinion, I think offensive line may be something Eagles do look at, but in terms of because you got a lot of interviews that you had, a lot of questions that you had, the offensive line prospects, what do you think in terms of that position for the Eagles? You think it could benefit them to be able to grab one high, to be able to take over for the eventual successor to Lane Johnson?
Yeah, definitely. I think that coming out of that combine, I felt more so that the Eagles were going to stick to the offensive line at one of those picks, whether it be that we trade back in the first one or we trade back the second one. I think that there's going to be a lot of intriguing prospects around there, depending on how the first 10 go. You could be there looking at Paris Johnson, a guy that could slide to the interior, perhaps play at that interior spot until Lane is ready to go, or maybe solidify a spot at that interior. Obviously, we let Dickerson play where he, excelled in the game. So you're going to be at some positions where the Eagles may look at the board and say, okay, well, all the top edge rushers are gone, but we got the top offensive line prospect in our hands in a Paris Johnson, or you could be in the spot where you're, maybe early second round because you traded back that 30, or you're sitting at 30 and you're looking at a guy like DeJuan Jones or maybe his teammate in a Broderick Jones, I think it is. There's a lot of different guys that it makes it very interesting to see if they're able to go ahead and fill a need that maybe is twofold, because there are a lot of guys that can move inside and play that, exterior offensive line position as well. So you can kind of solve two problems in one pick here, and that might intrigue them. But I do think that offensive line and defensive line are the two spots in this draft that if you're not picking them in the top, I'll say like 15, if you're not picking one of those one or like top 3 or 4 guys at their position, you're probably not getting a day one starter. You're getting more so of a guy that's probably a little bit of a project. So if you want to get a premier guy, you're going to have to spend an early pick. But we'll see what the Eagles do.
So the other thing I want to touch on too, I'm going to have you chime in here, Adam, talking about the draft and talking about the Eagles. There's a lot of chatter talking about the running back position, and you see the running backs, especially during the combine, a couple guys jump out there and you see the kind of the depth at the position there. And, the free agency market, of course, has a lot of some talent there as well. But what do you look at the top prospects running back wise in the draft? Oh, I think he's muted.
All right, we're back. I think, the top running backs, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama, like to take a first round pick on them, I think we have a few bigger holes right now than running back. This is a really deep running back class that you can get someone in the second, third, fourth, probably in fifth round that could step in, probably day one to work alongside Kenny Gainwell. I don't think the Eagles should go with a running back in the first round pick unless magically Bijan Robinson manages to fall all the way to 30. I think that's next to impossible. I think it's absolutely ludicrous to take him at 10 when you can get a much better, I'm not saying a much better player, but a much better fit for the Eagles. And just seeing how deep this running back class is, you can easily get someone on day 2, early day 3 could step in. We're seeing that also recently, like the top running backs off the board aren't being those top running backs who are playing in their rookie season, second, third year guys. So just because a guy's like as dynamic and electric as like Bijan Robinson was in, college, I think he's still gonna be an excellent NFL player. But I would be skeptical if they took him in the first round just because we have bigger needs and it's a deep draft. If there was no one other than Bijan Robinson and in this draft, no one besides Jahmyr Gibbs, I would lean maybe a little bit more towards it. But this is a deep class, and we've all seen day 3 guys in recent years make headway. Like we watched one of them run all over us in the Super Bowl a month ago. So it's not like, it's a crazy thing.
Yeah. I think if you look at this running back group,
I think his mic went out.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll fill in. I think again, this is a very deep class, like you said, Adam. But I feel like when it comes to like Jahmyr, Gibbs and Bijan, their ceilings are obviously way higher than the guys second, third, fourth round. But if you're looking just to get someone who can produce and can just fill the void, I mean, you can bank on getting a guy third, fourth round. But again, their ceilings aren't going to be what Bijan's is or what Gibbs is. Again, Adam, like you said, if there's wasn't as many holes, it's a home run pick. With last year, the Bills probably should have taken Breece Hall. I feel like, Breece Hall in that offense would have been amazing, but they chose to go another way. But I would love to see Bijan as offense. Even Gibbs. Gibbs is very physical. I feel like he'd be a tank on his offensive line. But there's this more holes to fill. We need a corner. Safety might need to be addressed. I don't know about round 1, but eventually, second, third round. How he loves to address the trenches, defensive line, offensive line. you're going to lose Sayamato potentially. You're going to lose Cox Hargrave potentially. So, Howie doesn't like to use high picks on those positions. But again, if we can see Bijan as offense, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm hoping it works now. All right, awesome. I don't know why my Mike hates me today. But no, I think when you look at this running back group, it's all about what you want out of that second contract. If you're a team that says, okay, a running back, they hit their ceiling and they start to regress before 6 years or after 6 years or 7 years. If you feel that as a franchise, maybe it does make sense to go ahead and get a running back in that first round. If you can say, all right, we have you for the first 5 years on a good contract. The sixth year we can tag you, and it's most likely not going to be what you're worth if we're really, wanting you. We see what that franchise tag is for running backs. It's really not that much. So, it depends on what you want out of that position. I think the Eagles are in a good position that if they want to go ahead and take the best running back in this group, they can make a good argument for it, right? Because you're a good team. You have a very good offensive line. He would prosper behind you. Whereas a team that's not, like if the Texans took him, it just doesn't really make sense. You have so many holes. He's not going to be good for you. I mean, he'll be good, but you're not going to get the most out of him. I think like a playoff team like we are, or any playoff team in a high pick or in a position to grab the best running back on the board, it might be a little bit different. It's like this, we can just kind of keep this at a very cheap rate and have one of the top 5-10 players in the league, maybe for 2 or 3 years, who knows? So it's a lot of ways to look at that running back position, but I'm cool either way. If you want to grab Bijan, hey, that's cool with me. If you want to go ahead and grab somebody in the second, third, fourth round, I'm sure you can find somebody. There is a lot of guys, I can think of off the top of my head, all the way to the 7th round, to be honest, that I feel like can make an impact on this team, especially the way we utilize running backs. So there's so many answers at that position. So it's a good thing,
Yeah.
I think I just talked myself into Bijan Robinson because I was thinking a little bit more into it. And Howie Roseman and Jeff Stoutland have been great at late round offensive line picks recently.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, if I'm going to bank on 2 individuals, finding a late round guy, developing them into a perennial NFL starter, it's going to be those 2. So I think I'm slowly talking myself into Bijan Robinson at number 10.
Yeah, and we have a T Carmack checking in. I don't believe we'll get a running back in the first, and honestly don't want them with the 10th pick. No thanks. Again, that's the tough part, is when you get the 10th pick to pick a running back. It's just when you look at the way this team builds and the way that they function, when you look at the draft and what they do, especially in the first round, it's usually those trenches. It's the offensive line. It's the defensive line. It's just what they do. And again, I always find it funny when I look at like mock drafts, whether depending on whoever, it doesn't matter who posts them, but even like the big websites, when they're going running back, linebacker, safety in the first round, it's like, do they not look in the history of the team? They don't do that. The last time a linebacker was drafted in the first round was 1979, Jerry Robinson, UCLA. Just doesn't happen.
Right.
It doesn't happen. It's just not what they do. So, you have to kind of look at what this team wants to do. And again, like you said, you're looking at the second contract. You're looking at, you can potentially have this guy for 5 years. Do you want to invest that 5th year into an offensive lineman, into a defensive lineman to get that, or, a running back, where a position where, a lot of the time, sometimes they don't last as long as you think. If you look at first round running backs in the last 10 years, you don't see a lot as what you used to see, but I just don't think that the value is there, even if it's a guy like Bijan Robinson or an Adrian Peterson, those type of players. You're looking at that, even Saquon Barkley was drafted high, but what happened? He got hurt. There was injuries, which you can have with any prospect. I understand that, but I just think to look at running back at number 10, I don't really think that's, I don't think that's necessary. Now, if you're able to trade back maybe 5-6 picks and he's still there, then I would somewhat start to think about that. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
If I get him at 15 or 16, I think I'm okay with that than to get him at 10, because if you trade down, you're getting that extra ammo, those extra picks to be able to fill those needs, those other needs that you'll have.
If there's one way you can justify taking Bijan at 10, which Howie wouldn't just do, is that he's probably like a top 5 prospect in this whole draft.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
even top 3. Like, that's how special he is. And, you know, when you throw him into an offense with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, or, you know, you have, Gainwell in the backfield of Hurts and Bijan, you know, it's scary for opposing defenses, and it makes a lot to game plan. But then again, you know, this is not what that team does. They prioritize the trenches, and it would just be so out of character for them to take that kind of selection that high.
Facts. I agree. I think that they could definitely go any way, but I don't think they're going to go against what they're good at. I think they're good at getting those O linemen, and a running back would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. It would be cool. There's so many of them. There's so many guys that can really make an impact on this team. And I'm not saying Bijan isn't, you know, head and shoulders better than everybody else, but, you know, the impact that we're looking for, it might not need to be Bijan, you know, and it might be better if it's not. It might be better if it's a guy that isn't going to demand the ball as much as a Bijan would in an offense. We have a lot of guys already that need to get the ball. So sometimes,
Right.
you know, less might be a little bit more in that regard, that if you overfill, and Jalen Hurts is very good at, you know, finding his guys. Obviously, you know, one week it's AJ, that when the next is Devontae. But, you know, sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming when you have 6 guys out there that want that ball, that want number one type consideration as far as targets go. It gets a little bit tough. So, you know, maybe we get somebody that's just really, really good, that doesn't have that big name nor ego that, you know, Bijan has earned. Bijan earned being that number one guy, being that, you know, lead dog, a top 5 prospect. He earned all that. But at the same time, you got to kind of look at the fit for your team. So that's where, you know, they probably are talking themselves out of it. Like, we'll go get a kid that is just happy to be in the NFL and put him behind our line and let him eat. You know what I'm saying? That's where I would be thinking right now.
Yeah, you have to think like that too, because, you know, as T. Carmack mentioned here, your right guard and right tackle are not set in the future. Yeah, Brooks has been gone. They had Malu there, but of course he's most likely gone as well in free agency, going to get a much bigger deal than the Eagles potentially can afford. And if Kelsey comes back, then most likely Juergens slides in that right guard spot. And, you know, Lane, retirement, I don't know if he has maybe a couple more years left, but again, you need to find the successor to him to be able to step in. And that's what it seems like the Eagles have been doing the last couple of years. They've been trying to look at that in terms of these older veterans on their roster to be able to somewhat, hey, okay, we're going to have someone in the wings waiting, you know, with Cam Juergens. You have a guy like Jordan Davis in the interior there. You know, to be able to do something like that, I think is smart on the Eagles aspect, because you want to be able to have somebody there waiting to be able to take over. And if they're not quite taken over yet, they're playing a position, whether it's Cam Juergens playing on the offensive line, still being able to get reps, starting reps, if he plays guard, if Kelsey's back for one more year. I just think it is beneficial to be able to draft that, especially if somebody of great talent who can play either guard or play tackle, be able to, you know, fall to you at that slot. I think that would be very beneficial for the Eagles.
Don't be surprised if you hear the name Cody Mauch or Cody Mauch. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, but he's from North Dakota State. He's a ginger. He's got the missing teeth in his feet, mouth, but he can play literally all 5 spots.
Is he the fat hillbilly Wentz?
Yeah. He can play all 5 spots. And you know, when I spoke to him, he did say that he talked to the Eagles, and you know, I even asked him how teams were kind of wanting to line him up or where they would line him up, and he said there was really no like, this is what you would do, you know, because he can do all of it. And he said that was something valuable. He thought was pretty versatile, that he can just do really wherever you want to line him up. He's played right tackle, right guard, played center. I believe he's played a little bit on the left side as well. But you know, he's done a little bit of everything. Another guy that is kind of interesting, and excuse me that I'm blanking on his name. He's Canadian, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but another offensive lineman. But they were showing him guard tape. They were showing him guard tape at the combine. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. I want to say it's like Jordan something. But either way, he had a formal with the Eagles, and the main overall arching point I'm trying to make is that they were showing him guard tape, and they were trying to see if he could move to the guard position as a right tackle. And so I think they're looking for that versatility. So, I say Paris Johnson because he is a guy, that is a top prospect that can do a little bit of everything. But there's also guys like John Michael Schmitz, I believe, is one of the guys that, I was kind of watching that. He's a sneakily athletic guy that can definitely play a couple of the positions on that line. Cody Mouch is another guy that I know that they're high on. So there's guys out there. Andrew Voorhees, before he got injured, I know he had a meeting with them. So there's a lot of offensive linemen that they spoke to that have that little bit of versatility, some more than others. But I think that's something that they value. And I think that's something that most NFL teams at this point, they value it. If you can play multiple spots at a high level, they're going to love it.
No, yeah, especially the Eagles, because with Jeff Stoutland, he turned Dillard into a versatile guard / tackle. I mean, Dillard's going to be a free agent, and he might get paid not close to like Big V did a couple of years ago, but he's going to be valuable in some people's eyes, and he might be a tough loss because, again, his versatility was big. When Dickerson would go down, or Sayamalo, whoever, you could throw him in there. Same with Jack Driscoll. He came in as a tackle, but now he can play a little bit of guard. So when you have Stalin, you can get those guys and you can cross train them, and that's big.
Yeah.
No, that's huge to be able to cross train these guys and have multiple position players. And I think it's huge when you look at Stoutland and you have that confidence. And even a guy like Voorhees, I could wind up going a lot later than originally. I could see the Eagles swooping in. Yeah, see the Eagles swooping in. I even think I'd swooping in and getting him, even though he may not play this year, to be able to have a player who most likely would have been, I would think, maybe second, third round area range. But to be able to get him a little bit later, I could see that working in the Eagles' favor there. And the Eagles do that too. My question is, so the big story out of right before the combine and when the interviews were just starting to happen was the Jalen Carter. The incident that happened in Georgia and everything, and he went back to Georgia and then came back for the interview session. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the Eagles? Do you think that's something the Eagles would, take him off their board? Now if he's sitting there at 10, you think the Eagles take that chance, or do you think they say, you know what, not at 10, maybe later if he were to drop?
I think that the combine, a lot of people say that it's not important, right? But for situations like that, that was probably life-saving for him to be able to kind of get out of the, situation he was in, make bail and be able to go to that session. He didn't speak at the podium, which I don't think is really a surprise to anybody, but he was able to speak to teams. That's going to be a decision they're going to have to make in that room. I mean, that's what that's really what that's for. People asked a lot of guys what they thought, these were actually for. What is the combine actually about? And, a lot of people were just saying it's trying to get to know the person, trying to get to know how he would fit your system, how he would fit, your culture. So I think that's a question they're going to answer, or they have answered possibly in those meetings, in those rooms, getting to know the kid. And I've said this before, I don't know the extent of everything. I don't know every detail. I don't know him personally. So I can't make a judgment on if that was him doing that or he made a bad mistake. And when you talk to somebody, you sit them down, you hear their side, you hear what happened, and you hear how they feel about it, and you make a decision from there. I think that NIL deals, I'll go to this because I think college is going to start seeing an influx of bad decisions because you're giving a lot of these kids that may have not had this type of money, a lot of money. You're giving them a lot of, things to really, really sway them in one way or the other, and mistakes are going to happen. Hopefully this was something that he learned from. Hopefully it wasn't something he was too, devastatingly involved in. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. So if I'm the Eagles, I would have to know all that. I would have to sit down and really hear what happened, how you are taking steps moving forward to ensure something like that doesn't happen? Is this something I'm going to have to continuously watch with you? Like there's so much that goes into that. So I don't know what I would do, because I probably will never get those answers. I'll probably never get to sit down with them. But I think if I'm the Eagles, that's the only way you can really make that decision.
No, it's good. Good, Adam.
If he's, I gotta trust the Eagles and like Howie and Sirianni and the whole coaching staff to do their vetting process on him. Like obviously, if he's not there at 10, like the other teams did their vetting process, so they're just taking a big old risk on him. If they do their vetting process and they find that like, yeah, there was obviously some off the field issues, like, but it's in the past he's moved on, he's learned from it. And he's sitting there at 10, they'd be foolish not to take him. He's the top player at his position by far. For me, him and Will Anderson are on the top tier, and you can truly interchangeable. But still, he's the best player in this draft, non-quarterback in this draft. If they pass on him, it's like, all right, they did their vetting process. There's still some risks. He's not the type of guy that, like, if he's sitting there at 10 and they did their vetting process, he's not, he made some mistakes. They're all good with him, and they pass on him. I can't see him being that type of player. If he's gonna be passed on, it's because there's concerns there's actual real off the field concerns, not what those.
No, definitely.
Anytime someone wants someone to drop it, there's off the field concerns. There really is going to be off the field concerns with them.
I think, Carter's generational talent. I mean, this guy he was a top 2 prospect coming into this draft before that even happened. And, again, depends what the teams hear about him and whatnot. But, the Eagles team have always been high on character. And, especially recently, I don't know how the whole thing about Carson Wentz unfolded, but there seemed to be like some kind of like tension between like that uncertainty and like lack of leadership and setting like an example. And so when you draft a guy like that at 10, it's like, is this like, are you okay with this happening? Again, we don't know what his story is and what really unfolded, but it's like, are you fine with what happened? You're just, letting it go under the rug because of who he is as a player. So again, the Eagles really trust that method of, prioritizing character and who you are as a person rather than just, taking who you are as a player. But I would be surprised if he's there at 10 just because of how good he is. And I'm willing to bet someone's willing to take that gamble on him as a player, as a person.
Yeah, it's definitely something of note to watch, because if he starts falling there, falling past the first round into the second round, it's gonna be the storyline of the draft to watch. Where he falls, and you can't say that it hasn't happened before, because there is year after year there are unfortunate things. La'el Collins. There's different things that happen with players that eventually they drop, and it's it sucks to see. Hopefully, he's learned and can then go about his professional career and be able to, make up for that. Because if you take a look at it, Laramie Tunsil's been nothing but a very good player. He had no issues there. Same with La'el Collins. Yeah, he had that one with the drug test thing or whatever happened. I know there was a lot of stories with that, but again, he hasn't been, a bad person or anything like that when you're looking at those certain things. So hopefully this situation can be, made up and, show that he isn't what people want to portray him to be. But with this, what I want to do now is kind of transition this. We're talking so much draft and everything. I want to do an Eagles mock draft. So it's going to be all of us doing the Eagles mock draft, the picks. I'm going to give the 2 guests. I'm going to give Joe, you'll get the first pick. Adam, you'll get the second first round pick. And then I'll go Kendall with the second round. I'll go with the third round. And then we can kind of, depending if there's any trades made, we'll just, keep going in that order. But, we can always talk if anybody wants advice. What do you think we should do? What do you think I should do? We'll try to get this and then get our full mock draft and kind of go from there. But let me pull it up. I'm going to use from Pro Football Network. I feel like usually has the best the best trades, everything. I like using them. I use a couple, but this seems to be kind of easier on the eyes and everything. So
they put it all together pretty easy.
Yeah, so let's get it started. And then, Joe, you'll be first up with the number 10 pick. My funny thing, I see who they draft. All right. So you do have some trades. There are 4 offers. So it looks like Carolina's offering you 39, 61, 145. Their first next year, their second next year. We have Minnesota 23.87 in their first, Dallas 26.90 in their first, and then the Chargers 2021 their first and their 7th. Any of those trades you want to accept?
All right, in real life, I don't know if I that Carolina trade is actually kind of crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they're probably moving up to try and get Will Levis, but I'm not gonna take that. I'm not gonna take any of them. Because I think I already know who I want to grab.
All righty, and who are we selecting with the number 10 pick?
So
scroll down at all.
I'm an over explainer. Look, Tyree Wilson is a guy that I think the Eagles probably would have a lot of faith. I'm not taking Tyree.
Okay.
I think if I was Howie right now, that's what I think that they would probably do. And that's probably how I should decide, right? So I probably should take Tyree. I think Joey Porter out there, I think that's a fan favorite. If you get a cornerback of his caliber, you're good. Go down a little bit just because their rankings sometimes are crazy.
Yeah, you don't want to miss on somebody.
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna do this the right way, which is how I think the team will do it, I'm gonna go ahead and take Tyree Wilson.
You sure? You don't have to do it as the team do it. This is our mock draft. We can kind of do it if we're the GMs.
How are y'all gonna do it? Because I don't want it to be all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Are y'all gonna do it like as fans, or are we doing this as the team?
Who would you take if you like?
If I was Howie,
who you wanted? No. But if you wanted, like, don't.
I would say
Howie.
Joey. I would say Joey.
Okay.
I think at cornerback, you're getting a good size, good length, decent speed. I think we'll see what happens with the speed. I mean, he doesn't have really like good play speed, but he was always asked to be at the in that press coverage. So I don't know. Of course, you're gonna get beat sometimes, but I don't know. I think Joey Porter is going to be a very, very good player in this league. I like Christian Gonzalez probably more, but I'll definitely take Joey Porter right now. I'm cool with that.
If it was me, I would. For me, my 1A and 1B guys are Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez. I think they're different in their own ways, but they're both very, very good. And
yeah,
again, like I've never really been split. Usually, I have a pretty good idea of who I want, but these 2 guys, I think they're going to be superstars, and I'm truly torn. But if it was me picking at this pick, I would take one of those 2 guys. But then again, Howie loves his trenches. Edge is going to be a very important position here soon. So I'll let you guys decide what we go here.
Go ahead. What is the pick?
I took Joey Porter. I'm taking Joey Porter. My bad.
It's going to be Joey Porter. And Adam, you are on the clock. So we got one trade offer, which is a pretty terrible offer. The Bears 53rd pick and the 2024 second from the Bears. I'm going to say
this is a bad offer. This is a bad offer, but I think we 100% trade out from this pick. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Someone
falls. We have no day 3 picks.
No. But I'm going to reject that because I'm sure you're not going to make that stupid pick.
No.
So as the board stands right now, as I delete this ad that comes up, but we have.
All right, there's one position I want to look at first before I make my pick. Can I look at the edge rushers real quick? All right, so he's still there.
No,
yeah, your mouse is on him right now.
No one.
Yeah. This is a guy I had mocked at this pick to begin with, but after he had a strong combine, like he obviously got hurt and there was a lot of injury concerns with that pectoral muscle. He looked great last week, performed phenomenally. I could see the Eagles taking him at 10, truthfully. And the big thing that I like about him that you won't see from the film of him playing was his leadership skills. If you watch the games against Ohio State and TCU, he was there with all of the defense on the sidelines. He was coaching up some of the players. He was that leader on the team, even though he was still hurt. We obviously have a lot of veteran, leadership guys in Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. They have been talking about retirement for so long.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith has that capability to step up into those leadership roles. On top of that, he's one of the better edge rushers in this class. Obviously, there's going to be some injury concerns, but he looked pretty damn good last week. And I think wasn't his 40 like the fastest for an edge rusher in like the last 15 years or something?
Yeah, he went crazy.
I don't remember. There were so many records broken, and I know he broke one of them. But he's a little undersized for a player of his position, but he's so strong for a player of his size. So I wouldn't be mad to pick a 10. The fact that he's sitting here at 30 for us, I'm going to take Nolan Smith from the Dogs. We're going to start at Georgia to Philadelphia pipeline.
Pause. Oh, no. I wanted you to pause, Johnny. I wanted to trade up.
Call it Dogadelphia.
Yeah.
All right, so I didn't get the trade up. We're not going to take any of these offers. So
can we go back down and see where? I want to know where Darnell Washington went. I mean, he probably went early.
He might not have went yet. Sometimes he doesn't go.
Give me him. Give me him.
No, he's the first one on the board there.
I was about to say, sometimes he doesn't go to the third. It's crazy. He be there forever.
Give me that, boys. Give me that, boys.
The one thing about him, and you think about it, it's pretty funny. Back in 2018, when the Eagles drafted Zach Ertz, or not Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz was a 28-year-old tight end in his prime, everything. And you're looking right now, you draft a guy like Darnell Washington, and Dallas Goedert is 28 years old, in his prime. It's just funny how things work out. I definitely think a tight end will be drafted because I know, Joe, you posted about this is one of the deepest tight end classes that they've seen. So definitely is a position where, hey, you can definitely use another tight end. It doesn't hurt to have another playmaker. The Eagles, they do like that position. So, and Darnell Washington is a freak of nature. I'm going to.
Just to add to that real quick, you know how old Brent Selleck was when Zach Ertz got drafted?
I didn't. Was he 28?
He was 28.
Wow.
No way.
That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, dude, those Jordan tight ends are out of this world freaks. Again, Darnell's stock, went crazy after the combine. But if you watched him last year, he's insane. And, the Eagles haven't been able to run too much 12 personnel recently, obviously because of Zach Ertz's departure. But, that was a really big part of the offense with Doug Peterson. Obviously, Sirianni is different, but I feel like we kind of miss having an extra tight end we can rely on, receiving wise. Grant he's fine, but he's no threat. Jack Stoll is kind of like your primary, blocking tight end. I feel like with Darnell's size, with his, just athleticism, I feel like you put him on the same field of Goddard, Brown, and Smith. I find it very difficult for defenses to, slow that down. And when the Eagles had Goddard and Ertz, I still thought to myself, how our defense is going to slow his offense down. But now, when you think about it now, you put Washington and Goddard together with Brown and Smith. It's like, who are stopping those guys? You know what I mean? Again, I still do think how he's going to address a lot of the draft picks with defense. But if Darnell is still there at this pick, which he won't, like I wouldn't even be surprised if they consider him at 30 if they stay put. I just feel like he's just that good, and he would bring that much to the offense. So lock that in. Darnell Washington, this is an absolute steal. He should not be here. This should be updated. Could we, before you do that, could we scroll through just to see if he's still available?
Yeah. So this is the top available right now.
They got Kalijah Kancey at like 75. That I did a mock draft on here not too long ago. Yes, he's
No
71.
way.
That got me so mad.
Wow.
I was like, I'm not even gonna take him because that's just not gonna happen.
Maybe I might have to switch my mind up.
Well,
Oh,
I'm going with Darnell
yeah.
Washington.
I mean,
he might.
I mean, this
Kalijah
is an A+ draft right now, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have two offers here, 103 and 133 for 94. And you know what? I'm gonna take that because it gives us an extra pick.
Yeah.
Gives us more time to kind of shoot the shit a little bit talking about this draft. So I'm gonna accept that. So then
damn.
Jeez.
This is
where
where
it gets
shit for 3 hours if we take that one.
yeah, that's. I think
Don't do the.
Yeah, we don't give.
Don't do a deal with the devil.
No, we don't.
They,
do that.
they obviously
you
want
can't do
something.
that.
They can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So just looking. Oh, it looks like the Giants got Voorhees there. DJ. I'm just looking to kind of see what some of the let me see. Some of our rivals have gotten. Bigsby went to the Giants.
You guys remember that draft? I think it was 2 years ago when Dallas took 3 or 4 linebackers during the draft, and what the hell are they doing?
And not one of them is
Phillips
left.
to the Giants. That would be a good
Right.
pickup for him.
Kalijah Kancey went to Denver. Would make sense because most likely Draymond Jones is not coming back there. So
I think he's gonna go top 20. I think.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
you're right there.
He's
an option at 10 for me
All right.
personally.
So take a look here. So
I already got my pick.
I know the offensive line. I know, we've talked about that.
Will McDonald is still available?
Yeah.
We've got an edge rusher already.
I know, but why is he still
Come
available
on.
in this
You're
mock?
talking about Howie Roseman here.
Yeah.
We're talking about Howie Roseman. Go to the quarterbacks.
No, I'm good.
Quarterback factory.
I'm between
Maybe we
two
become a
players
wide
here.
receiver factory. Yeah.
I like Jair Brown
Johnny
from Penn
Yes.
State. Watched a lot of Penn State. He's a safety. He's to my opinion, he's one of the top safeties in this draft. I like what
Definitely.
he does.
Strong safety class.
They need a safety. It is round 4. I'm going to go with the safety from Penn State.
Ooh, Penn State pipeline. I see we're going for right
Exactly.
Yeah,
Now we
are.
got to get Parker. Now we got to get Parker Washington.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that. And then it brings us back to you, Joe, with pick 133.
Oh, snap. All right. So who did we get so far? Can you click on our little emblem? You can click on the eagle. I think it shows it. Yeah. All right. So we got
That's a juicy draft right
cornerback.
there.
Let's go look at what we got at running back.
All right, let's take
Since
a look.
we
I
have
like
this
it.
113.
I like that call.
We have Spears, Chase Brown, Rashawn Johnson.
So I know we've spoken
Number
to Chase.
184.
Yeah, I know we've spoken to Chase. I know we've talked to Roshan. Tyjae Spears is an interesting guy. I think to me, he's a little bit too small. I want somebody with a little bit of body to him. I like Roshan. Can we see what we got at wide receiver?
Yeah.
There's Parker.
Look at that. We could, Parker did say, I asked him who he would want to team back up with.
This would be
And he said he wants
insane.
to play Jair Brown. He wants to play with Jair. I don't know if I would do that right now. Jonathan Mingo is a guy that really impressed me at the combine. Just him running the drills. He looks a little bit bigger than he is. I think he's like 6'1", if I'm not mistaken. But he looks a little bit bigger than he actually is and just looks stout. He looks, balanced. It was very impressive watching him. Michael Wilson, another one that was just impressive to kind of watch in the drills. I don't know if I want to go there. Can you show me safeties?
Oof. A lot of safeties went.
Yeah. Can we go to linebacker real quick?
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, go down a little bit.
Well, that's a good name, Bumper Pool.
Yeah, he's decent. Man. He played with Drew Sanders. I don't know why I said Drew Jones. Go to D tackles real quick. You took Mozzie Smith. You didn't take Mozzie, right?
No, I did not.
All right. Zach Pickens is an interesting guy. And can we see offensive line real quick?
Yeah, we didn't do any offensive lines. I'll sort of show the tackles first, which really is nobody.
This is where like Howie would get some offensive linemen too.
The guards.
I know Mark Evans. Mark Evans that's the guy that was like, yeah, I remember you. He's cool. That's my dog. So if he gets drafted, I'll be happy. Maybe not right here, but I'll be happy for him. Let me see what they got at center. Drew Scruggs is somebody that's interesting. I don't know if he would move. John Gaines is another guy that I know is pretty interesting. Let's go to running backs. I think we're going to go with running back here. I think that this might be an unpopular pick right now because, maybe there's somebody else people want, but I think right here, if you can get a Roschon Johnson, I think you're happy with that. I think reason why I know everybody's going to be like, that's Bijan's backup. Reason why I think this is a Howie type pick. Obviously, they did have a formal meeting with him. We were able to break that news, but he's a big body back that doesn't have a lot of tread on his tire, but has a lot of talent. There's talent there. He's a very good player, has some wheels, has some agility, some good contact balance. He's going to be able to do a little bit of everything for you. He did a lot of dirty work for Bijan. So that he does that already. So I think this is his type of guy because it's definitely at his type of spot that how he likes to take these guys. So I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson on this one. I think that would be a good pick, though. I like him.
Roschon Johnson is the pick. Brings it to you, Adam, once we get all the way to the 7th round, because that's where we have to go to now.
Oh, can I get the next pick after that?
Yep, you have the next pick.
Sweet.
Right. So now we're at pick 219.
Oh, I know which player I'm picking already.
Go ahead. Who do you got?
Herbert.
I know it's not going to be a popular pick. People are going to get crazy about it. Eagles are going to probably end up drafting a quarterback in this draft.
Yes!
They are strapped for money. And Gardner Minshew, you don't need to stop. It's taking Malik Cunningham. They need a quarterback. 440. If you want to score
down.
Don't take Sean Clifford. Do not do that.
Can
we veto a pick?
No. Eagles are going to be in the market for a quarterback. It's going to be obvious. Like Gardner Minshew's going to walk. I'd rather them give someone a rookie contract than pay Gardner Minshew $10 million. Whatever. They can save money getting a backup quarterback. I know there'll be some idiot on Twitter who says this is pick as to replace Jalen Hurts. But I'm going to go with the best quarterback available. Malik Cunningham from Louisville.
I like that.
That leads us to the last pick of this Eagles mock.
Oh, you guys are going to love this one. All right. I need you to go to Johnny. I need you to go to the S/T for this one.
He's going to go with a punter, isn't he?
We gotta address some important things here. Our guy, Aaron Cephas, is not cutting it. He has been doing the past 2 years. We need someone that is just this always reliable. I'm tired of having this inconsistency. It cost us in the Super Bowl. Maybe it's due to coaching or whatnot, but we need a punter. And I doubt they're going to actually take one, but I'm going to do it since Howie won't. And give me Brad Robbins from Michigan. I think he's probably one of the better punters. I'm pretty sure. So, I feel like this is an A+ draft. If you ask me, we're a little Pennsylvania heavy, but we're also a little Georgia heavy too.
We're starting the pipeline, man.
Yeah. So we have
Georgia pipeline.
Joey Porter Jr. with the 10th pick. We had Nolan Smith with the 30th pick. Darnell Washington with 62. Then we did a trade and got an extra pick. So Jair Brown at 103, Roschon Johnson at 133, then Malik Cunningham at 219, and Brad Robbins at 248. So
This is a solid draft. I would be happy with this.
That's a pretty good draft, I would say. Being able to fill in some needs there. Of course, there's some other needs that you weren't able to fill. But again, you also look at next year. Don't be surprised if they also trade a couple of the 2024 picks, because they know that they are going to be getting some compensatory picks with the way the free agency is going to flow for them, unfortunately. And one thing I say is there's going to be overreaction. There's going to be people complaining nonstop, but you always have to remember this. Howie doesn't always dive into the first realm of free agency. It's not really what he does. Yeah, he got Hassan Reddick last year, but usually what they do is that second wave or players who are cut and released, they'll try and go after that. That'll be what they're going to want to do. Exactly. But
I feel as if they're definitely going to be trading out of 30. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up from 10. If like, let's say the quarterbacks don't go the way that we expect them to, and they want to get someone, I don't know who could be exactly, but I wouldn't rule out trading up at 10. But I feel like trading out of 30 is essential lock, because there's no day 3 picks. Howie, he loves wheeling and dealing these days. So
big facts.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt there. But again, this was another episode of AATBirds Weekly Report. I want to thank Adam and Joe for joining us.
Thank you, boys.
We will have you guys probably back on when it gets closer to the draft to talk a little bit more. Maybe do this again as we go after free agency, see if our ideas have changed a little bit. They may update their rankings, so of course some things may change as well, but it's a fun little exercise. But definitely, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next Wednesday, Kendall and I, and we'll be talking about free agency. There'll be a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure there'll be some Eagles that will be leaving, so we will get into all that. We'll get into kind of our eyes where we kind of see the Eagles and what they should be doing, what kind of moves. We may have some fun ideas set in terms of what we think the Eagles should do after the first. Actually, it'd be the first day, technically the first day that they can actually sign, but it'll be basically 2 days have gone by with players actually able to agree. But it's going to be a lot going on. But Joe, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, definitely. You can check me out on YouTube, Philly the podcast, or on Twitter at Philly or at Philly TP. Excuse me. That's mainly where I put like everything. So if you follow the Twitter, you'll get connected to everything else. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was fun.
Awesome. And Adam, I know you're doing a draft show. You've had that up. Where can people find you?
Obviously, find me on Twitter. We got the War Room where we interview some different prospects. I actually interviewed Brad Robbins, so that's all I was thrilled about that pick.
No way.
Yeah. So, my best question I asked him was, "What how many pairs of khakis does Jim Harbaugh has?" And I can confirm he has multiple pairs of this of the same kind. So that really was the big, breaking news from that.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's golden.
But again, thanks again for joining us, everybody. Definitely check us out next Wednesday. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're following. And the way we like to end every show with a very happy, joyful, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the